Our bodies will have a different hormonal response. There's also an amazing research facility at Stanford doing some great work on beliefs and how they actually affect our physiology and our hormones.
Can you tell our listeners what is manifestation?
Making a baby, creating a body, it's the ultimate manifestation. You can eat all the right foods. You can take all the supplements. You can do all the exercise. It's not just about that. You're bringing baby home into your habits, into your own mindset.
What are some easy steps you can do to start getting in a practice of gratitude when it might feel like you have nothing to be grateful for?
Gratitude is a vitamin. Beliefs actually affect our hormones, but we all deserve to ask for our dreams and expect to receive them.
Hi, my name is Vita, WeNatal co-founder, and today's episode really hits home with my heart because it's not only a dear friend, but someone who's personally changed my life. Lillian Cohanzad is the author of the WeNatal Journal. She's a manifestation expert and overall amazing human. She has completely taught me how to change my words and my actions to really manifest the life of my dreams. I cannot wait for you guys to meet her brilliance. We are so excited for today's guest. I personally have one of my superheroes in my life with us today. So Lillian Cohanzad is not only a dear friend, but the author of our beautiful WeNatal Journal and someone I aspire to be when I grow up. But
Mirror.
Thank you for being here. You have been a pivotal person in my life, and I know you've changed many people's lives with this journal. And so we're going to dive right in on what makes Lillian so special. She was one of the first people in my life who taught me how powerful my words are and what it means, like everything and how intentional our words, our actions are. And up until meeting Lillian, I think I was in like a little bit of like the corporate grind with a lot of guilt, self-blame. I operated out of fear and obligation mostly.
Like most people do.
Yeah. And you completely changed my life. And so for all of our community, you're in for a treat today because she's one of my superheroes.
Thank you, Vita. You and WeNatal is changing so many lives, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. So thank you.
Oh, I can't wait because this episode is going to be so good.
It's going to be so good.
So good. So let's start with the journal because when we founded WeNatal, Ronit and I, we knew we wanted to provide the best support for anyone who wanted to start a family.
Yes.
And the foundation of that was nutrition and supplements. And so we dived in deep in that world. And then we had this day where like, but it's mind body. Like you cannot just give people support for one part and not the other part. And given that we're all having kids later in life, the world of fertility, unfortunately, is quite, overwhelming and getting a bit alarming with the decline of fertility. We wanted to support people in the mental aspect as well. And do you remember that day we called you?
I do. And I was so impressed because, you could get stuck in seeing just one thing.
Yep.
And it's like, it's about the supplement, it's about the nutrients. And you guys really wanted to, first of all, you really wanted your customer to have the best possible thing. And that was a holistic supplement and the mental piece. And so, I do remember that day. I remember our phone call. It was just a great moment in my life. Thank you.
And you have brought to life something so magical because what many people don't talk about in this journey is the mental anguish that we've gone through. I know we both have had our struggles in fertility, which we're going to get to. But when we called you, it was like, okay, so how we've made the best supplement. How do we support anyone or couples in their journey to become a parent? And you, after lots of writing and lots of versions, can you tell us like the approach you took with the WeNatal Journal?
Yeah, once we knew that it was going to be a journal, it was pretty easy to write it out because it's simple. It's about gratitude. Mm-hmm. It's about a vision for your life. Mm-hmm. And it's about loving the people in your life, including yourself. So loving your partner, loving that child to be, and loving yourself. And so it was kind of just a very easy inflow process to write the journal. Now, all the editing and all that stuff is a different story, but the meat of it is the same. It's gratitude is the foundation. and a vision for the future, an exciting vision for the future that keeps us in a state of awe and wonder and joy, and then sort of ending that with the loving thoughts. So, yeah, the idea that you guys had about it's not just about the supplement is huge, because you can eat all the right foods. You can take all the supplements. You can do all the exercising. I mean, I've known a lot of people who are unhealthy in their mindset, even around exercising.
Correct.
So it's not just about that.
No.
And in our world where everything is so fast and we never are alone, because we're with our phones and we're scrolling and we're getting all of this input, constant input, it's really important to find ways to help our nervous system, our immune system, our physiological bodies to calm down through practices like the journal.
Totally. And I'm so proud that there's more and more research coming out about this. It used to be a bit more woo-woo, and now it's like there is sheer research showing the mind-body connection, that gratitude can affect your physiology, that like it's all connected. Your body is one, and you cannot just treat a certain part of it.
Yeah, you know, I think when I started thinking about this kind of stuff, it was really woo-woo. And now we have places like Stanford and Columbia who are really diving deep. They have mind-body laboratories and people dedicated to studying this. And there's still so much we don't know, but we do know that, you know, gratitude and our thoughts create an emotion in our body. And then that emotion has a physiological response on things like cortisol, on dopamine, on adrenaline. And these are all things that are either going to amp up our body to be in more fight or flight, which is not the optimal place to be for baby making and creating, which is ultimately what we want to do.
Totally.
Or they're going to have the opposite effect, which is going to calm that fight or flight and allow for our bodies to be in a more relaxed state, to then feel safe for something to come in, for creation to develop.
I love that, because even, you know, in our fight or flight mechanisms were made for much more, you know, our ancestors' time, where we're being chased by a bear or there's famine, and that was to, you know, we had Dr. Cohanzad on yesterday, and he talked about that was made to like protect our bodies, because we're made to procreate, and during times of fear, or you know, it was a protection method to ensure that you don't procreate at a time that's not good. But the reality is, myself included, most of us are in that fight or flight mode
all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
And your body is going to have a harder time trying to conceive in this zone. And so
your adrenals are stressed, your cortisol is through the roof, you know, and that's just a state of our world.
Right.
Like that's the reality of it. And so anybody who doesn't take into account that mental component is not addressing that. And it's a huge factor because I don't care how many supplements you take and how much you do for your body. If you are in fight or flight, you're not in the optimum, you know, state physiologically.
Exactly. And so before I met you, I didn't even know what manifestation meant. So let's start from the beginning. Can you tell our listeners, what is manifestation?
Yes, I love this topic so much. You know, manifestation has been thrown around quite a bit now. And it's really just the act of creation. And so when I think of manifestation with fertility, making a baby, bringing a human into the world with their own journey, their own thoughts and ideas, creating a body, it's the ultimate manifestation. And so oftentimes we go into it not really thinking about it. Like so many people are like, oh, I'm pregnant. Or you do think a lot about the logistics. How do I get pregnant?
Right.
But it's not just about having this baby. It's about what kind of life are you trying to build for yourself? What kind of family? How does your relationship look with your partner? And ultimately, you're not just bringing home baby to your nursery. You're bringing baby home into your habits, into your own mindset, into your own thoughts and beliefs. And so, how can we strengthen those so that when you bring that precious baby home, they're getting the best possible foundation? Not to mention the road can be rocky,
Totally.
right? Getting there. We both have had that.
Yes.
And so we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to go into that in a second. But I think what you said about setting the foundation is so important because a lot of us, ourselves included, are having kids later in life.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors are scaring us saying, you should have tried yesterday. You should have frozen your eggs. And like, there isn't really this time for the foundation. We're like, oh, we're late. And there's like all this pressure and fear mongering to like, just go. But really at We Natal, we want to like really share the education about that preconception time frame, which is the 3 to 6 months before you and your partner are trying to conceive, because you have so much opportunity in this golden window.
Yes. You know, the Egg Quality Plus is a huge component of creating that egg to be the best possible egg that it can be, right? The We Natal Journal is, how do you become the best version of yourself that you can be? The most calm version, the most loving version, the most grateful version, the healthiest, your immune system, your nervous system, to welcome that child. And a lot of times I do think that when people are, going through infertility challenges, they don't look at that side of it. It's just like the black and white. What is my doctor telling me? Where are my numbers? And your stress level is like through the roof, but you're not paying attention to it.
Correct. Yeah, it's like check the box. Okay, did all the things down, ready, and go. And typically I would say if you're considering running a marathon, you wouldn't just get out there and run the marathon. There's a lot of prep work. And somehow for this world, people are not taking the time to do the prep. And so I know up until now, some listeners might be a little skeptical, as I was too. Like, we're a lot of us, not everyone, we're type A, we're go, go, go. It's really hard to get your mind to slow down and like think that this journal or a mindful practice might help you.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as we all know, the world of infertility is growing and we're all having a hard time believing. And I know after my first miscarriage, which was past the first trimester, where I told everyone, it was really hard to be grateful in those days. In fact, I, looking back, had a severe postpartum depression after the loss. And let's get into a little bit of like how to do this when things are not always maybe going your way. So maybe we start with a little bit of your fertility journey.
Sure. My fertility journey, I have 3 children. They are now 9, 7, and 5. But I did have a rocky pregnancy, and my fertility journey started with my first she came pretty easily into my body, but then wanted to come out very quickly. So she was a preemie. She was in NICU for a month.
Oh.
That was my first child. And I think I also had some postpartum anxiety. I didn't want anyone touching her. It was like a very, confusing time, I think, for a lot of people when they enter motherhood, because they're like, this is everything I ever wanted. And yet I'm feeling grief and I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. And what I've learned from working with mothers is that a lot of working with mothers is grief work. It's not always rainbows and butterflies,
Totally.
Even through the fertility journey and beyond, even now when your kids are a little bit older. But between my first and second child, I had 2 miscarriages, and went in to go see some fertility doctors and try to figure out what was going on there. And it was a tough time, I think, for me and my husband too, to kind of like, he was telling me, let's go to the doctor. I didn't really want to. Thankfully, I listened and we did go and we figured out what was going on. And then we had our second. I was on hospital bed rest for a lot of it. And hospital bed rest is tough, mentally, physically.
Especially when you have a toddler at home.
So dad really had to step it up.
Yep.
And thankfully we did have a solid foundation of like, being in this together. But a lot of that came from the prep work that we did pre-marriage, and a lot of that is in the journal. 50 questions of like things that you don't even think about that you're gonna come up against, like in-laws stuff. Like
Oh,
how, yeah.
I wish I had these questions before my first because some of the most obvious things became such a pain point in our journey. Like
Yeah,
the question, who's going to help you when the baby comes? He assumed it would be his parents. I assumed it would be mine. And it's just like this awkward, you need the help, but help is also can be stressful at times.
totally. Yeah,
So
especially when there are people that are
I
close
wish
to
I was
you.
aligned on that before the baby came
Yeah.
because, like you said, everyone's sleep deprived, overwhelmed, especially with your first child. You don't know what you're doing.
No, so sleep deprived. I remember my husband telling me, like, this is how they torture people, is not letting them sleep like a full night's sleep. And it's so true.
So
You're walking
true.
around like
A zombie.
not a normal version of yourself, which, you know, you have to have some grace and you're not always going to be able to do all the practices.
Totally.
Um, but coming back to the basis of the practices will help you,
Yeah.
get through some of these times. So my fertility journey, I got pregnant with my second daughter, was on bed rest. I was pregnant again with my third and on bed rest again. My kids just wanted to all come join our family early. And so, the pregnancy part was the tough part for me. I noticed that a lot of times it's either the fertility journey
Mm-hmm.
or it's the pregnancy part or it's the breastfeeding part. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's always something,
Yep.
And I think we expect it to be easy, you know?
Agreed.
And then when it's not, we're like, what's wrong?
What's
What's
wrong
wrong
with
with
me?
me?
Yep.
When in reality, it's just the way it's supposed to be. Like it's not supposed to be easy, but we expect that it is. And so when things don't go according to that expectation, we point the finger at ourselves and say, well, what am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? You're not doing anything wrong. You're a human having a human experience, and here are some tools that can help,
Yeah.
you know?
I know for sure both my losses, I had the self blame, self guilt. Didn't even dawn on me that it could be my husband. It literally was a meticulous like look back at every single thing I did. My workouts, my stress at work, like I can't even I empathize with anyone out there who's had
Yeah.
a loss and we want you to know, at least in our journey, one that you're not alone. Two,
No.
like you said, there's so much you can do
And you're going to feel alone. Like,
totally.
regardless of knowing that so many people have gone through it, I felt so alone and so sad in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's just part of the process.
So let's talk about the dark times. We've both had multiple losses.
Yeah.
I know one of the hardest prompts for myself in your journal is some days is loving thought for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
when it feels like, and hopefully our listeners can empathize, like when it feels like I don't have much to be grateful for, things aren't going my way, I don't see an end in sight. I don't know. I mean, I know I ask myself, will I ever have kids?
Yeah.
When sometimes your thoughts are daunting, what are some easy steps you can do to start getting in a practice of gratitude when it might feel like you have nothing to be grateful for?
It's such a good question. One of the things I think about is that gratitude is a vitamin. So, like, I'm taking my vitamins, but gratitude is a vitamin. It's
I
helping
like that.
to support. So, yeah, sometimes it's hard, to get into that statement. The other day, my daughter, we were talking about this kind of stuff, and she's like, what if there's nothing good around you? Because we were talking about you look for the good,
Yeah.
right? You mine for the gold, you look for the good. There's always going to be good and bad.
Right.
She's like, what if there's nothing good around me? And she was holding something in her hand. And I go, oh, you're holding something. So you have a hand. You have fingers that can hold something. Wow. Isn't that something good, right? It's hard to do that in
Yeah.
those moments
Yeah.
of like utter despair. I've
Yeah.
been there. I mean, I thought I was the worst mom in the world to my 8-month-old when I was going through my miscarriage because I just couldn't get myself out of it for a little while.
Totally.
But you've got to do it. Gratitude is a vitamin. It also helps support belief. So in the Weenatal journal, we have affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
We have 50 affirmations, things like I trust my baby's timing, I'm a powerful manifester, all kinds of beautiful affirmations. But if you don't believe it,
Yeah.
then it's not quite as powerful. What gratitude does is it infuses it with a little bit of belief because you're like, okay, well, I'm grateful for this one good thing that I already have,
Yep.
right? So I believe that I am capable of having good things. And so it infuses that belief. And we're learning more and more about that. People like Dr. Joe Dispenza are doing great work on it. And then there's also an amazing research facility at Stanford doing some great work on beliefs and how they actually affect our physiology and our hormones. So it's
Wow.
fascinating that beliefs actually affect our hormones. And we know hormones make up who we are and
Correct.
are crucial to fertility. So Dr. Elia Crum at Stanford Medical Lab has done some amazing research, one of which she'll give you a milkshake and tell you it's a diet shake. And she'll give me a milkshake and tell me that it's a decadent, just delicious, full of all the creamy stuff. And it's the exact same shake. And our bodies will have a different hormonal response. Ghrelin is a hormone that tells you if you're hungry or not. And our bodies will respond differently just based on
What we were told.
what we were told and what we believe about the thing in front of us after we drink it, not the actual thing that we're drinking.
I've
Because it's the
heard
same
that
thing.
study. It's wild. And I think the diet group thought they were hungry quicker.
Yes.
Just because they were told it was diet.
3 times more, less ghrelin than the other group.
Wow.
So it's fascinating. And I think we're on the precipice. You know, it's funny. We live in this world of like Wi-Fi, like, hey, can I have your Wi-Fi code? And we don't question that, like, oh, we're plugging in and we don't see all the frequencies and how we get plugged in.
Totally.
But we know there's Wi-Fi. And yet we're like so quick to be poo-poo or say, that can't be, that there's actually energy around words, around feelings, emotions, around interactions,
Yeah.
you know, energetic interactions. But there
are
things happening that we don't see, but they're real and they're happening. And we're starting to do some research, you know, at some of these really amazing institutions. But we're on the baby steps of that. So
yeah. And I don't know if you posted it. I recently saw something on Instagram about plants being able to
yes.
feel our energy when we enter the room. And I was like, okay, so if there is literally plants that can tell, just know our chemistry is changing.
Vita, it wasn't plants can tell. Zach Bush was talking about this. He's a medical doctor as well. Plants can sense the person that takes care of them from 2 kilometers away.
Yes, exactly. Wow.
I mean, it's not like they're just right next to you, you know, 2 kilometers away. So if they are that sentient to somebody's energy, then how many things are we not seeing in the world that are actually existent? It's fascinating.
It's amazing. I can't wait for more of this research to come out
because
I know. I think for the non-believers, it's really showing the proof.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, with fertility and with the road to fertility, you have to think about your mindset, your thoughts, your beliefs around it, and your energetic, how you're coming into the situation. You know, I had an interesting thing happen. A woman was trying to have a baby girl, and she was going through IVF, and she was having a hard time because she'd had a few failed IVFs. And we gathered around, and it was a circle of women, and she spoke to her baby, and she said, I'm doing the work to become the best mom for you. I want you to know that it's safe to come to me. You know, we did this whole prayer thing around her. A month later, she called me crying, and she's like, Lillian, my baby's coming. Now, this sounds crazy. It's not going to always happen that way, you know, but there is a beautiful, mysterious energy in creation of a human. And the more you can support yourself with the supplements, with the food, with the exercise, but with the mindset, the thoughts, the beliefs that like it's all there for you. It's all there for you. Your baby is coming, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
so powerful.
It's so amazing. Yeah.
And I will say for the people who are like, still skeptical after all these amazing examples. And I think Lillian's given me goosebumps with her manifestation. I call her the manifestation queen because her abilities are incredible. But
But
for
we
those,
all have it.
we all have
We
it.
all have it.
And I think what you said is so important about belief. And some days you might say that's hard, but it's like a muscle. And for me,
It's like
what
a
worked
muscle.
is like one gratitude thought a day. Sometimes it was my cup of coffee. Sometimes it's the sun is out. It might have been so minimal, but like you can grow it. And if you
Yeah.
keep practicing and then you start looking at things where I used to be maybe have a more negative outlook, and I'd be like, well, I'm grateful that I'm healthy today. I'm grateful, that,
Yeah.
and perspective is everything. And as soon as you start making small tweaks, you'll see that you start looking at the world a bit differently. At least for me, that's how it worked. And I started with like maybe one positive thought a day.
Yeah, one thing you can do really simply is like notice your first thought that you have in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I know after I had my first and maybe second daughter, my first thought would be like, ah, I'm so tired,
Yep.
because
When you
for,
met me, that's pretty much all I
yeah,
said.
and look at you now. No, but that would be my first thought. And I don't think I even noticed it,
Yeah.
for
Same.
years. And then once I finally did start noticing it, I'm like, okay, I need to change this thought. If this is the first thought I have, opening my eyes, how am I setting myself up for anything different throughout the
Totally.
day? So that's like one tiny active thing that you can do is just notice that first thought that you have in the morning and then try to change that into something that's more, uplifting and supportive for your physiology.
Give
Um,
us some examples in the morning of what better thoughts can be for us.
yeah, you can start with like, I'm so excited for whatever it might be you have going on that day. I'm full of energy to face the day. Like sometimes you just have to start
Yep.
like fake it to make it,
Yep.
And then that gratitude practice of oftentimes I don't do it first thing in the morning anymore because
The
my kid
kids.
wakes up at 6 a.m. Um, but I do try to plug it in. And it's like you said, it's a muscle. Like you're not going to build muscle without working it. You're
Practice.
just not. It's not gonna like just come to you and like, oh, all of a sudden you have a bicep,
Yeah.
You gotta put it in. So similarly with having a more calm and supportive thought process and mindset, it's a muscle. And your neurons, your neural pathways are constantly adjusting and changing. So when you start, instead of saying, oh, I'm so tired, giving yourself a different thought, you're creating a new neural pathway for yourself to look through.
I love it. And hopefully, some of these practices will help our community keep hope alive. When you feel like you don't have hope, hope is the best thing. The beliefs, the words,
It's holistic. You listen, you're not going to always have hope. You're not going to always be like
totally
Mary Sunshine. No one is,
we're
like, and
human.
that's not the expectation,
Correct.
especially when you're going through really hard things. You you give yourself the grace.
Yep.
But to know that if you want to be the most well version of yourself, it has to also include a mindset component. It cannot just be physical, it cannot just be food related or supplement related. And I think that that's why you guys, wanted to do something to support your customers because
Yep.
being a mother and having gone through it, how hard it is and how it takes a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I wish I had more of this practice before my first child because that's the, like you mentioned, the foundation you set for, everything that comes after. And so a lot of these practices are so powerful and
They're so powerful, and you're gearing up for the biggest creation of your life.
yep.
And it's going to be beautiful. And the journal also gives you some prompts of like keeping your own visions and dreams for yourself alive and front and center because it gives you that like energy that you need to then support those around you. And in pregnancy and in motherhood, sometimes we can lose sight of like, who am I? Who am
Completely.
I? And so it's a constant returning to ourselves, um, and then propping ourselves up with these supportive tools of like, I am a strong, powerful manifestor. That's who I am.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned giving yourself grace in hard
Yes.
times. Do you have any tips or things that you did for self-care during, challenges and infertility or whatever anyone might be going through?
Yes. One of the things I did between when I got pregnant with my second daughter is I went to therapy. I had had these two miscarriages. I could only talk about the sadness so much to my partner, right? Like he's there, he's supportive, but there was a part of me, my sister was like, I think that this would help you. And I took it.
Mm.
I was open to it, and it did help. I think it was something I was able to talk myself through. I was worried about the pregnancy, all those feelings when you've gone through loss.
Yes.
So that was supportive for me. But I also think having a village, having friends, having a sister, having people that have gone through it, um, is hugely important. So I think for the most part, those were the biggest tools that I had. Um, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not an easy road for a lot of us.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm not good at it. I'm typically in front of screens or working, but even a walk or something in nature, you're really good at it. You go on hikes, but anytime I could just like felt the overwhelmness, I would either take 3 breaths at my desk, nobody would even know I'm doing it, or I would like quickly get up and go for a walk. And just being around trees and hear a bird chirp, it
Oh
kind
my
of just
gosh.
resets you.
Yes.
So those are some tips that work for me, but ultimately, like it's so personal. You have to find what works for you. I know what people would tell me to meditate, and I would roll my eyes because I would sit there. Sometimes I even left work and would go into a quiet room, and my mind is spinning. It was
Yeah.
not realistic for me.
Well, and let me say something about that because meditation, a lot of times people think like in order to meditate, you have to still your mind.
Correct.
And no, like during meditation, your mind is going to do what it does, right? It's still going to keep moving. So it's not realistic to think like, I'm not going to think of anything. But you get to like look at your mind. So meditation, I love meditation. I think it's like a beautiful practice, but I get it. It's not for everybody. Um, I think what you said about taking a walk and nature.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is such a brilliant teacher. Like we just talked about the plants. In winter, the leaves fall off, animals hibernate, they rest. We don't do that in our world.
Yeah.
Our world keeps going. And so people, what do they do in winter? They get sick, right?
Yeah.
Their health goes down the drain. They feel tired. They feel less energy. Why? Because we're out of flux with nature, you know? Sometimes when I am having a particularly hard moment or day, I'll go out into my backyard and I'll just like look for a bird or look for a squirrel or like any little animal. And I stare at it for a while and I realize, like, okay, nobody fed this bird today. Nobody took care of this bird today. Nobody gave the squirrel an acorn, but the squirrel is here, happy as a clam. And the bird is singing and flying and doing its thing. And we are all going to be okay. So I think nature is
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's like just step outside.
It's just there.
It's free.
Yeah.
And it helps us get outside of our own head.
Exactly. And I think also just realizing like how can I flow with nature a little bit more, especially as women.
Absolutely agree.
There's so much. I mean, I could
So
talk to you
much.
about that for 100 years, but yeah, there's just thinking about that with our own cycles, with our moon cycles. There's this quote that I love that I'm gonna butcher, but it's something about like if you bleed with the moon, if you bleed with the moon that powers the tides, like how powerful, how beautiful, how divine are you?
That's wow.
Yeah.
We need to get back to that, like
Yeah.
eating seasonal foods, watching, like mimicking what our body needs versus just grind 24/7 and not pay attention to anything that's happening in the world.
Totally. And something that's really interesting, we sat on a panel last year together, and there was a urologist there. I don't know if you remember this. And he said this really kind of shocking statement. He said, IVF is like the worst thing that's happened to men's fertility. I'm sorry, to men's health.
Yeah.
In the last, 50 years or whatever. And we were all like, ooh. But what he meant is that fertility is really a marker of overall well-being. And so, yes, we have these things that can help us, right, to get pregnant. But if your overall well being is signaling something to you that it's not in alignment, then how else can we get it to alignment? I think that's what we needle, the supplement and all the nutrients. I mean, I still take Wenatal, and I have a
And we're definitely
5-year-old. Yeah.
not trying to have more kids.
And my parents take it. Like, I'm like, everybody needs to be on it. But I think that, if you look at fertility as a marker for overall wellness and not just like silo it to just fertility.
This moment of time.
Yes.
It's your overall health. It's linked. It's one-on-one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like what's going on there,
and go deeper.
And go deeper and go into like your stress levels and how you're living. And is it go to the next event, to the next thing, to the next thing? Because there's a lot to be done there to help support your system carry a child.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to touch, you briefly mentioned a little bit about this, but it's one that's near and dear to my heart. A lot of us women question our self-worth, question our self-identity when either we can't conceive or we lose, a pregnancy or that. What would you say to someone who might be in our shoes in that situation when you're really questioning your own worth?
Get quiet and know that we are all a part of this magnificent creation, and we all have worth and power within ourselves. So get quiet and know the truth is that you are going to get there. You are going to have, that child. You might not have an easy road, but you are going to get there and you deserve it. I think so many of us in the journal, can I pick this up?
Please.
In the journal, I had a dedication, and the dedication said, to the mothers and the fathers, the ultimate creators, without you, nothing would be. And to my own mother, thank you for teaching me that I deserve to ask for my dreams and expect to receive them. And there's a worthiness factor that I think boils down to wellness in the end, but we all deserve to ask for our dreams and expect to receive them. All of us, every single, because we were all that little baby. You think about the baby when it comes, what does it do? It poops on you, it burps on you, pees on you, and you love it unconditionally. And if we can just remember that we are all that baby, like we all deserve that unconditional love. And we deserve to ask for our dreams and expect to receive them. And I think it's just, we do have a worthiness problem in our society because we get our worth from outside things. Is the squirrel worried about how worthy it is? Is the bird, I'm not going to fly as high because no, all things in nature, do it to the best of their ability. The oak tree is going to grow to the best of its ability. And that's what we are also made for, to manifest beautiful, abundant things. And so if we can just remember that we are all a part of this beautiful, mysterious world, we all deserve it. So
that was a mic drop moment. I feel like not only your dedication, but those words, if we can just like leave with that. I'd also want to open up for any other books, recommendations. What else do you think our community could benefit from, no matter what stage they are in their fertility journey? Is there anything else you want to share? But that was literally the mic drop moment. I feel like we could end on that so beautifully.
Thank you, Vita. This has been such a lovely conversation. Thank you so much. I'm just so excited about Wenatal and what it's doing for the fertility space and this crisis that we find ourselves in. And I know it's going to help to turn things around. So thank you for what you've created. I would say find yourself a village. Find yourself people that you can talk to about this kind of stuff, whether it's a pregnancy circle. There's a lot of women's circles in different areas, and you can even do it on Zoom nowadays. But just kind of going through stuff, even if it's with strangers on the internet, that are going through it at the same time as you feel less alone, and it gives you just kind of that like that like sigh of relief that like it's not just, you know, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's not just your own problem to hold, that like we've all as mothers going through this is part of becoming a mother. And yeah, find a village. I think that that is huge.
Such good advice, because no matter where you are, you need that village.
Yeah.
Whether you're experiencing loss, whether you have kids, you need a village.
You need people around you to support you.
Yep.
And I know in our world today, a lot of people live far away from others. And
Correct.
so find it if you can. Yeah.
And for those of you who want additional village, I would say We Natal is always here for
Yes.
you. If you want to email us, we can get it to Lillian. If you have additional questions,
Yes.
care@wenatal.com. But we pride ourselves, whether it's so we answer every DM on social, we write back to every email. You can
Yeah.
ask for Vita, Roni, or Lillian, and we will write back to that customer service
Absolutely.
email.
We want to.
We
We
want to
want to hear
because
from you.
we get on the phone with anyone who's been in our shoes. We are here for you. And so
The
if,
Facebook community too,
yes,
and a lot of pre-conceiving mothers and pregnant mothers are in there supporting each
it's a
other.
private Facebook group for
Yeah.
our subscribers. And so whatever you need, hit us up. But Lillian, you are an absolute, we call her like our fairy pixie dust. Like you're magical.
Thank you.
And
I
thank
love
you
you.
for your words. And we're here for you guys. If there's anything that you guys want to know or pick Lillian's brain further, but if there's one thing I would love to leave you with is like, give it a try. Give yourself 3 minutes a day. Try the journal. Try anything that works for you, but
Yeah.
you will see that it will slowly, completely shift your perspective.
Start building the muscle, if not for yourself, for your future child. Start building the muscle.
Thank you.